Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this special call meeting to order. The City of Greenwood City Council is Tuesday, July the 20th at approximately 6:06 p.m. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Stacy Brown.
Here.
Rod Powell.
Here.
Rob Peter.
Here.
Jim McDaniel.
Here.
Tim Terry.
Here.
Lance Terry.
Here.
And Bill Corn.
Thank you. We are meeting this evening. We have only one item on the agenda, but before we get to that, I just want to very quickly acknowledge the absence of Michael Jean in our city. As you all know, anyone asked very specifically for me to remember the family, Katie and the girls, and the rest of the family in your prayers. A lot of things have been said about Michael, all fabulous, true things. And I could talk for hours about him, but we can't do that tonight. So you will just remember those folks in your prayers. So first item on the agenda tonight is Fire Department authorization to purchase fire hose. Chief.
If you need to know all the negative stuff about him, I got it uploaded in my pocket, so we can talk about it later. Anyway, we missed that. We'll see what the page is again. All right, tonight before you, found out last month that there was going to be a price increase because of all the COVID things happening. Normally we get a price increase. The price increase is pretty small. This time it's going to be significant. And so I asked the apparatus committee, which is basically the civil officers, to get together and discuss what we might want to do. We thought we were going to have something for you at the council meeting. But we also thought we were going to have to modify the size of the truck. And so Station 2, the truck needs to be shorter. And so we looked into one of the, what's called top side mount. We like the top mount because we can cross the top and be in a safe area like we have now. Side mount makes it shorter, and they made that. Well, that was going to increase the price about $30,000 or more to have that specially built. And so while I was out at the funeral, I guess, last week before last, the committee got together, took engine 3, the current one we have, out to Station 2 and just played around with size and driving issues. And our problem at Station 2 is that back drive up into it is just too steep. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's too steep for everything we got. And it doesn't matter what kind of fire truck we ride, it's going to be too steep, except for a brush truck. And so it's too steep to get it up there and have 2 trucks in there and be able to shoot it. So we're always going to have to back in until we either can get the Game and Fish to sell us a little strip of land so we can, instead of having it like this, make it straight so we can pull in. Otherwise, we're just going to have to keep backing in. And so after they went out there and messed around with it and the other trucks and came back and said, you know, engine 3 fits just fine. And we think that's going to work just fine. And after looking at it, we're happy with engine 3. Everybody's happy with how it was built. So I told the mayor, I said, well, I'm not ready yet. I said, now that we've found out that engine 3 is going to work, that's going to cut our costs back. I said, but I'm not back, and I have to give us our supplement. And so I got with them and said, basically a cookie cutter truck. Let's do the same thing. We'll do a couple of small modifications here or there, but basically the same truck. And what's it going to cost us? And so they sent us the cost, and I said, what I'd like to have is the cost before and after the price increase. This is with caps. The cap system is actually cheaper than what we bought it last time. The problem is the truck went up in price. The cap system being put on by Sutton is in the 30,000 range, something like that, and being put on, it's the same road system. They just, it's not a huge cost. But our thought is we need to be operating the same truck. Everybody on the department's getting used to that. If we can use the same type of truck for Station 2 and Station 1, it would benefit us for repetition on knowing how to operate it. So the reasons for this would be, and I gave you the list, price increase of $25,000. Our engine one's out of NFPA certification. It has been since 2017. But we had two at the time. We had engine 3 and engine 1 time without a cert, so we had to replace engine 3. If we purchase it now, I talked with Tom, he said that it would pay off before our sales tax, right before our sales tax expires, which would be a good thing. He also mentioned that since the sales taxes are up right now, you know, that's always a benefit. And then the equipment on it, most equipment on the current engine 1 is going to work just fine on this truck. We have some new hose that we got through the accident. They replaced our hose, and so we have new hose there. That's about $15,000 per subscription hose. All the SCBA's on it are still all current, and so we can use those. Although we are going to have there's going to be some of the SCBA's we have to go out for about 5 years, so we're going to be replacing those for about 5 years. But most of the gear and stuff on it are going to be switched over from one truck to the other. So what I foresee is we're going to have a water cannon on top and 2 ball valves on the side. And I got prices for those, and those are under $10,000 for the total. Those would normally be put on a Sutton, but or by Fireworks, who is a Sutton rep. They're no longer a TFT dealer, so they didn't sell anything during COVID. TFT dropped them, and if I had Sutton do it at cost, it was going to cost me about another $30,000 for 3 pieces. So I got a hold of another vendor that I buy all my TFT products from, and TFT, and they worked out, or I'm going to buy it through them. As soon as the truck gets here, we're going to put it all on the truck. And it's all stuff that can come off that truck and go on another truck we have to. So it's not like it was proprietary to that truck, but we do have to have it. It's the water cannon on top, shoots, and then the 2 ball valves we hook up on the side, put the hook to the hydrant. And so after talking with Tom, he said it would benefit you more the way that the budget's set up and what all's not to be paid off for you not to put any equipment on this year's budget and wait for next year. He said you're going to have things start to pay off. You're going to have a big chunk of what is being financed now already paid down, and then it'll be a lot easier to come up with that type of money than after the first of the year in the next budget. And so we don't need it until the truck gets here, so that's kind of a no-brainer. And so right now, all we're asking for is to make the truck purchase. It would take, and you probably read it there, let's see, 12 to 14 months. And the reason it takes that long is just because everything else is still on. Things are hard to get right now. And so I gave you a copy of what we are going to pay. Farmers Bank has graciously told us that we would get a 2.75% interest on this truck. And with that interest, which is a great interest rate, with that, we would put $100,000. We just don't $100,000. We basically pay it off to Sutton, get their total discount for, which is option 4, and for a total of, I have it right here, you don't have it in front of you, $566,991, which otherwise, after August 1st, it's going to be $591 for the exact same truck. So basically, it's right at $25,000, a little less, approximately. And that's not going to be the only increase this year. That's just the one they let everybody know about all their sales reps. And I got the official letter that went out to sales reps on file. If anyone wants to see that, we're not just making it up. And so that's what I'm coming to you with tonight. And I went to Tom to make sure that it was going to be feasible with the other notes that we have, and he said it would work. Tom, are you?
He's on the phone right now.
Are you where you can you want to discuss anything?
Is there anything you want to say, Tom?
I'll explain to them what the impact is over the next 5 years.
There we go.
I have given you a packet that has 2 resolutions to them. But before we get to the resolution, there's a schedule called the debt service analysis in there. And at the very top, it shows the current existing loans, one being the fire station property. It It's a 2.5 interest rate, and currently we're paying $53.83 in a monthly payment. Now this year, it's already, the expense for principal and interest is already budgeted against city sales and use tax. So in 2022, you're going to have a payoff of the property loan, which will be $42,806.63. It will actually pay off in August of next year. Pumper loan, however, will pay off in 23 July, so you'll still have $100,737.72 in principal and interest that will be budgeted next year because you're obligated. But I also listed the top mounted calf engine loan for a payoff that will happen August of 26, just before the vote to extend, if you're going to go after extending the city sales and use tax. It should pay off before then. But you're looking at $40,500 this year in 2021 if you approve the loan that will have to be added into our budget as a budget amendment for the principal and interest. Now, if you look at the bottom of that report, you'll notice that the deficit for this year's budget for city sales and use tax fire is $75,000. You're pulling that out of your current existing $800,000 in funds, which really isn't dramatic. The additional deficit, though, of $40,000 makes your total deficit possibly $116,000. And the reason I say possibly is because that $75,000 is a budgeted amount, and he's not coming close to it right now. He's under budget in his operational needs. So I've listed several things there for you to consider. One is the budgeted operating expense comes out of city sales and use tax fire. And this year he budgeted, excluding debt and capital, $116,693. For 2022, 23, 24, 25, and 26, I just projected a 5% modest growth in expense for his operating. Just so you know what makes up operating, it's the maintenance and repairs on building, the equipment, the rental property, vehicles, materials and supplies, communications. All those are basically things that come out of the city sales and use tax on a monthly and annual basis. So if you take the debt service plus the operating expense and don't consider the capital need, you're looking at a projected surplus, assuming no CapEx, of $11,000 going to $121 to $208, which those are relatively good numbers. The problem is that account's supposed to be used for capital expenditures. And I know I don't have his capital budget projections over the next 5 years, but I know this year he budgeted $163,000 in capital. You have the budget there, so you can look at it and see exactly what he's got. He's got generators and some other things that are projected in there. But if you just modestly say you'll spend $100,000, then go up 125, 150, just plugging in a number, you'll see the impact of the deficit against his current operating monies in city sales and use tax. Now, realize I projected an 8% growth. That's probably a little aggressive, even though right now we're projecting a 10% for this year. We're averaging right now 16. I don't see that sustaining that high for the next 4 years, but if you just look at projected the budgeted growth of revenues, so that it is going to mitigate in the third year. In 2024, you'll start generating a surplus, given the fact that he paid off 2 loans. So he has $800,000 in the bank right now. So he's not, I mean, I don't know what you're looking at as a deal killer, but there's some big items that he has in his mind down the road. One, I believe, is outfitting the new truck. It's going to have to happen in 22 and probably maybe even 23, depending on that 12 to 14 month delivery rate. And he also needs to be considered about a new Command 1 sometime in that period. And then station number 3, I don't know how he's going to finance that. So it's what do you need now versus how you're going to pay for something in the future. Like I said, I could give you a better answer to this if I had his capital budget needs over the next 5 years.
How old is this truck, Steve?
Which one?
Engine one.
Engine one is 23 years old. So 20 years is your max on your it being a something that's going to keep us out of litigation if we have an accident.
Well, I understand the 5-year plan, and Station 3 obviously is a big ticket item that everybody kind of probably looking forward to, but I mean, we may have a fire tomorrow or whatever. I know this thing's 12 months out, but we need to get the new truck. I mean, we got the money, we're riding high right now. It's not money it's money that's what the tax was made for new trucks and equipment. I mean, the fire department has probably done the best job of the 3 entities of that 3/4% sales tax and spending their money where their mouth is, where it was supposed to be spent, where it was campaigned to be spent. And I mean, that's how it works. The tax is out there, it accumulates, you buy stuff with it that's within the bounds of the parameters of the tax how it was written. So I don't see what. I mean, this is pretty cut and dry, yes. I mean, as long as Tom says we got the money, which we obviously do. Now, like I said, you go looking ahead at Station 3 or whatever.
It don't matter, Station 3, that tax is still going to be renewed for Station 3.
Absolutely. Right. Well, the whole
For anything.
department's got a tax down here to keep everybody afloat, unfortunately. Hopefully it will.
Chief, I only have one question. You and I, when we discussed this first time, and then I could have got it wrong. I thought you had like $40-something thousand savings on getting it by August. Is that fine?
After I did the calculations on it, he was a little off on that, on the original, so it's about 25.
He is the.
That's it, but set my salesman, so they came to him and said it was going to be a 17% increase, and then after we actually got the numbers down, it ended up in whatever $25,000 is, and because after I started doing the numbers, it was like a 7 or 8%, I was like, well, that's not much of an increase, and when you go and look at it, it's still quite a big amount of money.
Just making sure he didn't tell you something.
No, I did that, he got back with me, and then we contacted Sutton and everything. I just had to talk to you, I guess, because I hadn't been around much about changing that, but it's still 25,000 is a pretty good chunk, and it's getting ready to come again. It seems like they have 2 price increases a year, and it's just not going down. I was surprised that the price of the truck and gas system came in as low as it did. I thought I'd be up there asking you guys for $600,000, hoping. And when it came in where it did, was pleasantly surprised. And so when it comes to what's on the budget this year on capital expenditures, like the exhaust system and stuff, that won't be, that's something that we're trying to, as a one-time spend. Skid pack will be a one-time. AM radios, I'm always going to have that in there because we're constantly having to replace those. The generators are one-time spend, that's 55. So I can tell you right now, there's 100,000 of capital expenditures that definitely won't be in there next year. And there was another 10,000 additional costs, and then we had 18,000 in there that was for the motor rollers that was carried over the year before. So that capital expenditure list of 163 is an RP in our past. Most of the time it's around 80 or 70. We won't be spending 160,000 next year unless we have to carry over a bunch of this stuff, but I hope we don't. The generator was supposed to start last week. The problem with it is getting the generator in. It's like everything else, it's been back ordered. And so they're supposed to pour the slab this week and then let it go for 30 days before they put the generator on. And so it seems like everything we do, even our turnouts, are being pushed back 2 or 3 months because of factory issues and getting the product out.
Chief Ron, I I would like us to add a blurb about waiving bid requirements or whatever, so how do we need to word that in
Okay.
the first authorization to purchase?
Well, going through the buy board like we did, that makes it to where we don't have to, I mean, we.
What's it called?
The buy board,
BUI board?
BUI, BULRD.
It's not called the National Buy Board or
It's just
anything
called the
like
buy
that?
board, that's their
Okay.
official name. It's actually out of Texas, and we joined it when we bought the last truck, and then
Okay.
I think our street departments used it,
Okay.
they were on the purchase too.
I see it, it's actually in that
Yeah.
set of proposal.
And so, when you go through them, they do all the competitive bidding and competitive pricing and stuff. And so basically, all we have to do is send a PO to Sutton, and they send it to the buy board. That there's a purchase order comes in, they come back and they go through the pricing, and we don't have to worry.
Okay, I'll add a third whereas that talks about the buy board,
Okay.
and that we don't have to do bid.
Charlotte,
Yes.
Charlotte, you already have an ordinance, if you could even reference that, approved in 2018 to become a member of this buy board for this purpose.
Yeah, I knew it was mentioned some time ago. So we'll add that as a third whereas, and then also I would like the description of what we're buying in section 1 of that same resolution. So
Okay.
that's all I'd like to see there. So
I guess it would
with
be
the addition of both of those.
whatever year model it's going to be when they get.
Yeah, it's in there, it's in
Maybe rescue
the
pump.
resolution, it's not down in section 1, it just says alone, but it doesn't say for, for a vehicle or anything.
Chief,
Hey, Charlotte,
Yes,
that was quickly put together. If you knew how many times I got numbers from Chief Brian,
uh-huh.
I had to change these things. How many times, Chief?
I think it's 3, but one of them came in with the wrong number on it. So, okay.
Well, it looks good, I just wanted to make sure those were in there.
Chief, what,
Are there two resolutions we're looking at, or is it just two different?
There's two, one is for the purchase, and the other one is the loan, and Tom, do you need to say anything else about it?
The one that's there for the budget resolution is so that we can modify the budgets for interest expense on the fire pumper loan and the principal payment on the fire pumper loan. It's going to amount to somewhere in the neighborhood of a little over $40,000. So it's a budget amendment we need approved.
So one's kind of an authorization and what the truck's about, the other one's for a budget.
Correct.
The other reason I see this needs to go down right now is, God forbid the tax doesn't get passed, this thing will get paid off before the sunset of that tax.
Correct.
Hopefully, or and maybe even sooner than this, and also, if we wait 2 years to try to do this, then you're paying on it while we're trying to to renew the tax, and you hate to have to be begging and pleading, saying, we've got to get it because this truck's got to get paid off. So you want to be able to show the people that we've done due diligence, spending the money we're supposed to be spent.
Correct. I agree.
Chief, what's your plans for the engine one?
Engine 1, we're gonna put it up for sale.
Paper.
I don't know what we're gonna be able to get out of it. It's basically, we're gonna have to go on the internet and see if we can find anything close to it. And I would love if we could get about 15 grand out of it. I don't know if we're gonna be able to, because of it being out of certification. There's a lot of small departments that do good truck for that are out in the county that don't have to really follow that because they're not a municipality. And so we were able to sell the 86 model, ended up at $4,000. It being out of 20 years kind of kicked me out of being able to sell it to a broker, even though we're not supposed to be able to do that anyway. But we were able to sell it to a rural department. So I bet, the way I see it, put it for 15 or 20,000, see if we get any bites, and then gradually go down from there if we have to, and see if we get, someone. It works well. Air conditioner, it's a Freightliner. We hadn't had a good air conditioner Freightliner since we've had them. They've tried to fix them about 10 times since I've been here, and they can't. They just don't know why. It's really a milk truck with a fire truck body on the back, and they blame it on the manufacturer. And the manufacturer says we don't have anything to do with it. And so anyway, that's the only really thing. And we've had small packing issues. I would tell you, well, it's not engine one, but we had somebody decide to use it for use one of our trucks for 24 hours to shoot mine water when they were trying to find another water source. That was probably the worst thing they could have ever done for our engine, because you had that acidic mine water. You know, Joe told you as much as I told you about what happens in coal mine water. And we've had problems, we've had issues with that engine ever since. And I don't know if this one was used in the same capacity at another location. I know there's two ones. But we've had packing issues with the pumps and things like that. But other than that, I think it's going to make a good truck for the department. We still rely on it until we can get another truck in as a frontline pumper. But I say that actually ISO I think considers it a reserve. And so anyway, so we're just asking to replace it before the next price change. And I gave you a list of what I felt like were the reasons we need to. And if you all agree with me, then hopefully we'll pass it. If you don't, I'll come back to you, probably with the same type of scenario at some other time.
Questions, comments, council?
I don't know which one I need to move on first. The budget resolution, or does it matter?
No, you better do the approval of the loan first.
Yeah, the approval of the loan would be the proper way, order. So it's the resolution to purchase certain real property, that one?
I'll make a motion we pass this resolution.
As modified.
As modified with what I said?
With the new whereas.
Yes, with the by board and then the description in section 1.
Yes.
That motion? And we have a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
No.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Ray Tenter? Lance Terry?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you, everyone. That's great.
And we have another one.
Another resolution on the
I make a motion we pass a resolution to amend the city budget.
second. Motion is second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
No.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
It passes by majority.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, Mr. Derry.
Thank you, council. Thank you for being.
Thank you, Chief. With that,
Second.
Keep
Motion
the
is
John family in prayer.
yes, definitely. John family members, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Love you. Thanks, Tom. Stay away, Tom.
Jim said he loves you, and everybody said thanks.
And stay away.
And stay away.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, take a shower.
Yeah, I know.
Take a bath and leave. No, yeah.
Good shot.
Yeah, get back to me.
Ethernet.
Yeah, but she's not fine.
More like,
Hey, that was you were out of order, sir.
I missed it.
Oh, I can believe it. Yeah, it seems like, we're like.
Well, I was going to wire